WWE Clash of Champions is taking place this weekend from the Spectrum Center in Charlotte, North Carolina in the Queen City. They have their pre-show starts at 6 o'clock. The actual card and show starts at 7. I would imagine there will be at least one match on the pre-show, and I assume it's going to be for the WWE Cruiserweight Title. So that's what we're going to start with here. We have, for the WWE Cruiserweight Title, we have Drew Gulak defending that title against Carrillo and Dorado here. Again, the Cruiserweights, they always have these great matches. It's unfortunate they wrestle in front of half-empty arenas most of the time. And I have an unfortunate feeling that's what's going to happen to him again here. I suspect Gulak is retaining the title. That's going to be my official pick. So we have that. I don't think there's going to be another match on the pre-show unless they do one of the tag title matches. They could do the SmackDown tag title match. And that's actually the one I'm going to go with next. We're going to have the New Day defending those SmackDown tag team titles. Of course, that's Xavier Woods and Big E. They're going to be taking on the Revival here. Of course, the Revival have been doing their stuff with Randy Orton. Could Randy Orton play a factor? Could Kofi Kingston play a factor? Of course, they have their championship match later on in the program. I don't think there'll be any interference. I think the New Day does retain the titles here. It wouldn't shock me to see the Revival win, but I'm picking the New Day to retain. On to the main card itself, we'll start with a grudge match first. We have Roman Reigns taking on Eric Rowan, of course. Very interested to see how this plays out. The question is, will Daniel Bryan get involved? Now, Daniel Bryan was not on SmackDown this week. I do think he will play a factor in the match. And I think it will ultimately be revealed that Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan were working together all along, as most of us have probably figured out, even though they tried to throw a swerve last week. I still think Roman Reigns is winning. Picking Roman Reigns, and then I think they do a beatdown or something afterwards. Daniel Bryan comes down, and it's been a ruse all along. Rowan and Bryan were together despite Rowan putting Daniel Bryan through the table with the Iron Claw. Again, I just feel that was a way to throw people off the tracks, so my pick is Roman Reigns to win. For the WWE Raw Tag Team Titles, we have Braun Strowman and Seth Rollins, and I imagine this will be one of the early matches on the main part because they're going to have their title match later on. They're going to take on Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. It's going to be very interesting to see how they play this. Ziggler and Roode, even though their team lost on Raw this week, I know they've had like a match or two here or there. You know what I think? I think we're going to have new champions here. I'm picking Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode to win the Raw Tag Team titles. It makes no sense for Braun and Seth to be holding the titles after this show because you figure they're going to have animosity leading into their NBC Universal title match. So I'm picking Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode to win the Raw Tag Team titles. Now, I could be a complete fool and get this one wrong, but I think we got a new Raw Tag Team champions on the way. For the WWE Women's Tag Team titles, we have Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross defending those titles against Fire and Desire. That's Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. Of course, I mentioned on my podcast here about how they've been doing 50-50 booking. Of course, the week before or last, they had Mandy and Sonya win a tag match against Alexa and Nikki in non-title action. And then this past week on SmackDown, they had Nikki Cross get the win back for the team by beating Mandy Rose. So I don't see the titles changing hands here. I think Alexa and Nikki will be retaining those titles. I think that's the right move here. And what has happened to Asuka and Kairi Sane? I mean, they're around somewhere. You figure they should get a shot at the titles at some point again. WWE Intercontinental Title match. We have Shinsuke Nakamura defending the WWE Intercontinental Title against The Miz. This is one of the matches I'm actually looking forward to seeing on this card. We know both guys can go if they're given the right opponents here, so I think this will be a great match. You know what? I know that they've been giving The Miz some victories here as of late. Kind of giving you that false sense that maybe he's going to win the title here. I think Shinsuke retains the Intercontinental title. I don't see any reason to take it off of him right now. Because I don't even think he's had a title match, to my knowledge, unless he's done stuff at the house shows, which doesn't really count anyway. So I'm picking Shinsuke Nakamura to retain the Intercontinental title. WWE United States title match. We have AJ Styles defending that title against Cedric Alexander. Of course, this came as a result of what happened on Raw this week when Cedric actually pinned AJ Styles in that 10-man tag match at the end of Raw on Monday nights. We know this is going to be a great match, phenomenal, no pun intended, match between these two great athletes. I'm tempted to say Cedric's going to win the title, but I think it's too soon. I think it's too soon to put the title on him. I don't think they're going to do it just yet. I see AJ retaining. There could be interference here from the club as well. You figure they're going to be out there. I think AJ retains, but maybe by disqualification, by the OC getting involved or something. But I don't see Styles losing the title, so I will pick him to retain. WWE SmackDown Women's Title match. We have Bayley defending the title against Charlotte Flair. Of course, Charlotte is in her hometown of Charlotte, North Carolina, in the Queen City. Of course, I mentioned on Raw this week how Charlotte actually pinned Bayley in non-title action as part of the tag match with the Four Horsewomen. To me, they're in Charlotte. It's going to be interesting to see if Ric Flair is going to be around. Of course, Ric Flair has been in the news lately. For those who don't know, he wants to file the trademark, the Man. Of course, they've been using that to describe Becky Lynch. Of course, Ric Flair has been claiming for years that he's been using that tagline, so he wanted to file the trademark for it, and there's been a lot of back and forth scuttle about all that. But as far as this match goes, they're in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I know typically when someone's in their hometown, they don't win usually. I think Charlotte's winning the title. I'm picking Charlotte to win her 10th women's title. I think she does beat Bayley. Maybe there's interference. Maybe some sort of a backfire here. I don't know, but I think Charlotte wins the match. I think Charlotte's winning the title, so this will be her 10th title reign. WWE Raw Women's Title match. We have Becky Lynch defending the title against Sasha Banks. Of course, we've been seeing the interaction these two have been having. Of course, Sasha with the chair shots a few weeks ago, and they did interact here in Raw this past week in that tag match. This is going to be very curious to see what they do here. I think this one's a coin flip. They've done a very good job protecting Becky Lynch since WrestleMania. Of course, she did lose the SmackDown Women's title at Money in the Bank. But other than that, I don't think she's been beaten on television, as far as I know. So, I mean, Sasha's back. Do I think they're putting the title on her here? I was really thinking about it, and you know what? I think they're going to do the title change. I'm picking Sasha Banks to win the title because there's this discussion that they're going to have another draft in early October when SmackDown moves to Fox, and I think there will be some pieces involved here. I think Becky is going back to SmackDown. That's just my thought on that. So I think Sasha's winning the title here. She's my pick, and she's just been back here recently, and you got to figure one of the concessions was for her to eventually win the title at some point. I think they're going to do it here. I'm picking Sasha to end Becky Lynch's reign, and you get up Becky chase for a bit before eventually I think she moves to SmackDown to join Charlotte once again. That's just my feeling. WWE title match. We have Kofi Kingston defending that title against Randy Orton. They have done a really good job in trying to convince people that Randy Orton is going to win this, and Kofi really has no chance because, for the most part, Randy's gotten the better of him, though Kofi did get some of his heat back this week on television when they did the table spot at Madison Square Garden like they did 10 years before. We know this is going to be a good match. It's going to be interesting. I don't see Randy Orton winning the title here. I think Kofi is retaining. And much like with Becky Lynch and all that, they've done a very good job in protecting Kofi Kingston since he won the title of WrestleMania off Daniel Bryan. So I just don't see Kofi losing the title yet. It wouldn't shock me to see Randy Orton win, but I'm picking Kofi Kingston to retain the title. And then finally, what should be the main event for the WWE NBC Universal title, we have Seth Rollins defending that title against Braun Strowman. Should be a very interesting match. Now, there's some thoughts that have been running through my mind here. I think it will be a good match, a decent match here. Strowman will get to show off his power. Rollins will get his stuff in. I think they go for a screwy finish here. I think Brock Lesnar actually makes an appearance here. You figure Brock's got to get himself back in the title picture at some point, and I think that's what happens here. Brock comes out and he lays out both guys as they go off the air. I think it ends in a DQ. Seth retains. And I think Brock Lesnar comes out and stands tall as they go off the air. So, and they're going to try to surprise the crowd with that. That's just my feeling. So I think Seth's winning by disqualification to retain. So that is your official WWE Clash of Champions preview and predictions. That's going to take place from the Spectrum Center in Charlotte, North Carolina.